Good. Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
That's great. Okay, you ready to get started?
Yes, whenever you are.
Okay, so we're aware that the leader of the Free National Movement held a press conference today in regards to the power company and the Port Authority, which he's been uh, quite vocal about all of a sudden, since I guess the Prime Minister has been calling him out with his stance for the Port Authority and in relation to everything in that regard. But pertaining to the press conference today, any words that you would like the public to know?
Well, I think he's a day late and a dollar short, as usual. Late to the table, late to the issue. The lead on this was being taken by Ira Lewis. Ira Lewis has been very forthright about his position on it and his party. And they called in Ira Lewis about a week or so ago and hauled him over the coals for being involved in the last public demonstration that took place in Freeport. So it seems to me that this is kind of double speak that they're engaged in. And so, fine, everybody who comes to the table and says they're opposed to it, great. But, there's a credibility issue with relation to the leader of the opposition on this matter.
When you say credibility, is that meaning because Lewis has taken the lead and it should have been Pintar?
Well, my feeling is that if you're against the rate increase, you should jump in with both feet and say that right at the start. You shouldn't be equivocating. And what he did was he equivocated. He said, "Oh well, I'm against the increase." After, of course, the public demonstrations took place and Mr. Lewis showed up on the first demonstration, we heard nothing from him. And then, as the pressure increased, he said, "Oh, I'm against the rate increase, but at the same time, I support the Grand Bahama Port Authority." Well, this is having your cake and eating it too. You need to be clear and unequivocal. I stand with the Bahamian people, I stand with my constituents, and I am against the rate increase. And that's all that should have been said. Now, the other issue, of course, which we have is pointed this out several times. So here's a man who, a week ago, told us that politicians from National should stay out of Grand Bahama's business. But isn't it curious that he jumps on a plane and goes to Eleuthera and starts giving out water in Eleuthera? So on the politicians in Eleuthera, shouldn't they say, well, excuse me, aren't you from Grand Bahama? What you doing over here interfering in our business? Now, of course, the logic is false that he espoused, but just to follow his logic, he becomes now a contradiction in terms. And that's the problem with the leader of the opposition on all kinds of issues. You're here, you're there, you're back, you're front, anywhere. It's literally, it appears, sticking your finger in the wind and saying, which way is the wind blowing this day? And I'm for that. That's what I mean by a credibility problem.
Right, and that would also go along with him basically kind of changing his tone with regards to the regulator of the power company. Well, he has said that the port is, and he believed that the port, but now he's kind of changing his tone with regards to the port and their stance in this whole matter.
Well, that's my that's my point. It appears to me that obviously someone stuck their finger in the wind and said, "Oh, the wind is blowing this way. I better jump on this bandwagon." It's for us to call out that behavior and to reassert that the Progressive Liberal Party, for our part, we oppose the increase. We do not think that the Grand Bahama Port Authority has the jurisdiction to deal with this matter. This is a matter for IRCA. And that's our position, simpliciter, without any adornment or any garnish, anything. That is our position. And we support all those who oppose it.
Now, some are asserting that the reason that Adam Lewis is kind of taking a stance and being seen in photos with the Progressive Liberal Party is because he's not really with the Free National Movement at this time. Could this be the reason why Pintard is changing his tone?
Well, that's a question you'd have to ask Iron Lewis. The way I look at it, it just looks as if, this is an issue which is important to his constituents, and he's standing with his constituents. Sometimes members of parliament have to take that position. Uh, we, of course, have a big tent, and we welcome all those who support a just cause, whatever side you're on. But obviously, he has run into some rough weather with the organization because, as I said, I gather he was called in as a result of being at the last demonstration. But that's their internal business, and I wouldn't venture into that.
Okay. Um, any matters pertaining to Freeport that you would also like to speak to at this time? I know the last we spoke, you mentioned the port on the bridge and those matters, but it seems that nothing has been done since then either.
Well, the port doesn't have the funds to do what they're supposed to do in Grand Bahama. I saw where one of the principals, the fellow who I've told should really stay out of the public domain, was in the newspapers again today talking about they give money to this side and give money to the other side. You know, it's none of your business. Nobody asked you. You know, stay out of it. But, you know, every week you're in the newspaper trying to manipulate and twist and turn and all the rest of it. And the question isn't whether who gives money or who doesn't give money. The question is not for him. The question is for the leader of the opposition. Is there a quid pro quo in exchange for future support, not past support? That's not what anybody's talking about. The question is, why can't the leader of the opposition make an unequivocal statement in support of the Bahamian people, the Marco City constituents, and the people of Grand Bahama? If he can't make an unequivocal statement, then it leads discerning people to say to themselves, is this being done for a reason? And what is the reason? Could it be because of some future donation or promise of a donation or what? That's the issue. And that's for Michael Pintard to answer, not the directors of the port. Stay out of it. It's none of your business.
And in terms of the investments and things that's happening now, they're still on the stance that they're responsible for it. Do you see that coming to and changing anytime soon?
I wish that civil society, someone in civil society, would intervene either now or when they try to increase the bills to injunct them and have a court decide who is responsible for the regulations. There's a court case now, we're awaiting a decision, but my view, if I were a consumer in Grand Bahama, I would have gone to court myself personally and blocked the increase. Simple as that, and somebody should do so.
Okay. That's all I need from you. Anything else you want to add?
No, thank you very much, people of Grand Bahama. Do well.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Recording stopped.
Before you leave,
Go ahead.